Dingodile, everyone's favorite dingo-crocodile hybrid with his Aussie accent and flamethrower. You love him, I love him. He's probably my favorite character in the whole Crash series, so let's see what Dingodile origin and history is.
Break out the butter.
As we all know, Dingodile appeared in the third Crash Bandicoot game, Warped, in 1998. He was the second boss of the game after Tiny, and he was created by Charles Zambilas. I hope that I could pronounce that correctly, but I don't think so sorry Charles. He was the character designer and art director for the original Crash trilogy, and he also worked on Spyro and Jak and Daxter. Dingodile was conceptualized by Naughty Dog employee Joe Labe, who requested a character that was crossed between a dingo and a crocodile. Charles drew the first sketches of Dingodile on February 4, 1998, and on 2013 Charles posted some concept art and stories about the creation of Dingodile, so let's see them first. Quote, "These are the very first development drawings of Dingodile, who made his appearance in Crash Bandicoot 3. They are dated February 4, 1998. Looks like I came up with a high volume for work on that day for this character. The idea was to come up with a character that was half crocodile and half dingo. These sketches are my very first attempts at building out the concept. I don't know if they've ever been shown before. I think most of what you will be seeing in a first in publication." As you can see in the concept art, Dingo was different. His nose was big and black, and he looked more like a meathead than anything else. And sure, Charles continued to post the creation of Dingodile. Quote, "Here's a few more images from the development of the character for his appearance in Crash Bandicoot 3. The art is dated February 4, 1998. At one point, Dingodile wore a hat reminiscent of what you'd see in Australia. I genuinely do not like this drawing and considered not to include it in the presentation, but I decided to show it anyway as it's part of how Dingodile came to be. I dropped the hat and tried a mop of scruffy hair instead. There was a moment when Dingodile walked on all fours." End quote. In the early stages they were really going for the Aussie style, and the art where he is walking on all fours reminds me of a hyena somehow, not a dingo. Quote, "These drawings are dated February 4, 1998, while Crash 3 was underway. I wasn't provided with decent duplicates of the drawing I did for Naughty Dog. These are Xerox copies? These are Xerox copies I made when I created the images at their studio. In some of them parts of the composition are missing in the tail area. Good thing I made these copies, as we are able to see the process of how he came about." End quote. At this phase his physique was more like Dingodile and Sully combined with a shirt, and again mostly with a black big nose. Quote, "These drawings are dated February 4, 1998. Compared to the last entries on April 10, you can see a difference in how the feet of the character are formed. At this point we are just about at the final design. You can also see how I explored the look of Dingodile's head in various positions. And there we are, the Dingodile we all know and love, but with a shirt and without his flamethrower. So for the last time, quote, "These are the last entries in the creation of Dingodile from Crash 3. They are dated February 12, 1998. I was not provided with quality copies of this body of work by Naughty Dog, and I only have photocopies of the original images. The flamethrower was added after Naughty Dog wanted him to be a fire-breathing character. I suggested giving him a device to do this, as it would make him much more interesting. I'm happy he turned out well, and that Dingodile has an enthusiastic following among Crash fans."
You thrashed me, mate. No worries, but you'll soon be up against much worse.
So these are the final concept art for Dingodile. Charles says he's not sure how or why the shirt was lost, but I'm really happy that it got lost somewhere. So Dingodile was finally on paper, so they could put him in the game. He was voiced by William Hootkins, and like I said, he was the second boss of Crash Warped. Uka Uka and Cortez give him orders to bring the power crystals to them during the Ice Ages. He is fighting with a flamethrower, and when you first encounter him, he almost fries a penguin. He's a pyromaniac who is quite vicious and seldom seen without his flamethrower or just without any gun. After Warped, Dingodile appeared in CTR and Crash Bash as a playable character, and in the Wrath of Cortex he's just there. But in the Crash Bandicoot Huge Adventure, he is an underwater boss, and in Crash Bandicoot 2 and Trans, he is a playable character in the game multiplayer mode. After that, in Crash Nitro Kart, he was brainwashed by Entrance, so he was a member of Team Trans. Both in CTR and CNK, he is a speed character. In Crash 3 Insanity, he is after the evil twin's treasure after he heard Cortex mentioning it, and his boss fight is one of the best in Twin Insanity. In CNK and Twin Insanity, his voice actor is Dwight Schultz. To be honest, I don't really like this voice. It's really weird, it's really high, it's not the best.
Cozy, ain't it? Rumour is you two chumps have got your mitts in some treasure, and I want a piece of that pie.
I have no idea what you just said.
He also appears in the DS version of Crash of the Titans, and he has a water gun. I mean, yeah, I know it's summer, so water gun is cool, but I don't think it's really effective when you want to kill someone. So a flamethrower would be more effective, Dingo, but okay, you know. In this version, he is voiced by none other than Nolan North. I love Nolan North, but here it's not good either. But okay, it was a DS game, so who cares, right? But after Mind Over Mutants, the Crash series went on a little break. But 10 years later, we got the legendary Insane Trilogy, and with that we got back our old Dingodile with the voice of Fred Tatasciore. And in my opinion, he is the best voice for Dingo. Actually, can we just stop for a moment and think about how none of these voice actors are Australians? Is that really that hard to find an Australian voice actor with an Australian accent? I don't know, it just weird for me. Like, it's an Australian character with an Aussie accent. I was like, oh yeah, so one of the voice actors should be Australian, right? No, none of them. But whatever, after the Insane Trilogy, of course he appeared in Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled, but this is the remastered again. The design stayed true to the original game. But we all know, after this, Dingo's big role finally came in Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time.
Bastards! They'll get every last one of yous!
He's a playable character in Crash 4. His whole character and appearance has changed. He's not a bad guy anymore. He just wants to sit down, watch TV and run his diner. One day his beloved diner gets blown up by Best presumably working for his rival Papa Battlefield. And after getting his revenge wiping out the Best, he is pulled into an interdimensional vortex and goes on an adventure through the multiverse hoping that the next rift will be the rift home. On his travels he meets and teams up with Crash. In Crash 4 he put away his flamethrower and he is using a vacuum cannon and his tail. This Dingodile is probably my favorite. It's so good to see him on the good side now, and the design and the voice is just completely amazing and perfect. So yeah, that's the end of the video. I was actually surprised how much I could talk about the actual origin of Dingodile and how less could I talk about his in-game appearances. But if you think about it, he only had major roles in Crash 3, Twin Insanity and Crash 4. Other than that, he was just another playable character or just a random boss. In my opinion, the Crash 4 Dingodile is the best in all main. His design, his voice, his character is just amazing. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then leave a like and comment and subscribe as always, and have a nice day and goodbye everyone.
Baby, you're gonna roast! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Oi, oi, oi! I'm making toast!
Oh yeah, and he's in Crash on the Run, but who cares, right?